That voice in your head, the one that criticizes you, pressures you, sabotages you, is not you. It's a repetitive program that disconnects you from your essence. In this video, you'll discover how to identify it, separate yourself from it, and reclaim your inner freedom. Stay until the end to see how the spell breaks. The voice that lives in your mind is not you. It's a constant repetition, a learned script running like background noise through every moment of your day. You wake up and it's there dictating your obligations, criticizing your decisions, repeating stories you swore you had overcome. And the most disturbing part, you've gotten used to obeying it. You give it power. You give it identity. You give it your name. But it doesn't belong to you. That inner dialogue is a construction. It wasn't born with you. It was shaped by years of conditioning, by traumas you didn't choose, by a system that demands performance before consciousness. It doesn't think, it reacts. It doesn't observe, it imposes. It doesn't ask, it judges. It's a filter that distorts reality and reduces your existence to a carousel of compulsive thoughts. You accept it as your voice, when in reality, it's an old echo disguised as truth. Every thought that repeats endlessly an instruction that keeps the system alive. Produce, improve, try harder, correct yourself, avoid failure, and when you do fail, that same voice that pushed you to the edge punishes you without mercy. You weren't enough. You didn't give what you should have. You're worthless. You're inadequate. That is how the internal logic of performance works. And you, identified with that narrative, drag yourself through life believing that this mental torture is honesty. But it's only control. The most brutal part isn't the thought itself, it's the weight you give it. Because there is no pain deeper than the one generated by an internal narrative you never question. A narrative that constantly tells you you're behind, that you owe something, that you should be different, and that daily, invisible violence infiltrates your emotions, your decisions, your way of relating to others, and to yourself. That mental chatter has no pause. It's always operating, even when you don't hear it. And that's why it's so dangerous. Best, it acts like a background virus, programming your perception, contaminating your experiences, sabotaging your well-being from the inside. But it is not your essence. It is not your soul. It is not your truth. You are not that voice. You are the one who hears it. You are the one who observes the noise. And in that simple fact lies immense power, the ability to separate yourself, to see without reacting, to reclaim the space that narrative stole from you. Because in the silence that appears when the voice fades, what emerges is the authentic you, not the character the system built, but you, the one who doesn't need to justify their existence, the one who was always there, waiting. That silent space where the voice loses its authority is where real life begins. Not the life others assigned you, not the one shaped by goals and expectations, but yours. There are no duties, no pressure, no urgency to be someone, only presence. A presence that doesn't shout, doesn't judge but sustains everything. And the more you inhabit that space, the stranger that old voice begins to feel. Anxiety doesn't come from what happens, but from what you tell yourself about what happens. You're not anxious about reality, but about how you interpret it, about the catastrophic anticipation, the scenarios that voice invents without pause. There's no rest because there's no silence, and without silence, there is no freedom. Freedom isn't conquered outside, it's recovered inside. When you stop obeying the mental narrative that chains you to who you should be. Many believe thinking is existing, but not every thought is wise. In fact, most are repetitions, inherited automatisms, unconscious programs, phrases someone once said, which you absorbed without filter, and now repeat as if they were yours. But they're not. They are the bricks used to build your invisible cage, the cage of the conditioned mind, and the daily tragedy is that we confuse that cage with our identity. That's why it hurts so much, because every time the voice attacks, you don't see a thought, you see a mirror. You don't question it. You accept it as truth, as if there were no other way to see yourself, as if that were what you truly are. And that is the mistake. Believing you are what you think. You are not that judgment. You are not the doubt that appears. You are not the fear that recites possible failures. You are what remains when you stop believing those thoughts. You are what observes without reacting, what feels without being controlled by thought. And when you stand in that place, the voice loses strength because you stop feeding it with your attention. You don't need to eliminate it. You only need to see it, like watching a cloud pass, like noticing a shadow without chasing it. And then something unexpected happens. Peace emerges, not because everything is perfect, but because you're no longer a hostage of the voice's repetition. The story changes when you realize you are not the story. You are the author. You decide when to stop writing on autopilot. The system never taught you to observe that voice. It taught you to follow it, to obey it as if it were an infallible compass. But that compass always points to the same place: self-demand, guilt, fear. And while you follow its orders, the system grows stronger, because a person who doubts themselves is easier to control. A person who believes their inner voice is absolute. Truth will never break the pattern. That's why the rupture begins. When you look from a different place, when you stop being the character narrated by the voice and become the witness who observes it, then every thought stops being a command and becomes noise. Noise that no longer rules you, no longer organizes your life, no longer defines who you are or what you deserve. Just noise. And in that realization, there is power. That voice has used your memories to sabotage you. It has taken your wounds and turned them into endless speeches. It has made you believe everything must be justified, that you must prove your worth, that you're incomplete until you reach certain goals. But that machinery stops when you stop participating in it, when you choose not to react, when you step back and let the voice speak without responding. Anna understood this. From the outside, her life looked perfect, but each night, when she closed her eyes, the voice activated. It repeated her insecurities like a cruel ritual, and she accepted it as truth, until one day, she got tired. She didn't try to silence the voice. She didn't fight it with more noise. She simply looked at it, and in that distance, the voice collapsed, because its power depends entirely on whether you continue believing it is real. The more you identify with your thoughts, the more enslaved you become. But when you discover you can observe them without being dragged by them, something new emerges, a clarity that doesn't come from analysis, but from presence. You don't need to understand every thought. You don't need to solve them. You only need to realize you are not them. You are the space where they appear and disappear. And that space doesn't need to defend itself, justify itself, or win. Your true freedom is there, not in control, but in separation, in letting go of the need for the voice to be right, in letting it say what it wants, while you remain steady, unmoved, outside its theater. Because now you've seen everything. Now you understand. That voice is not you, and it never was. Now you know. You are not your thoughts, you are the one who observes them. If this content resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, activate the bell, and comment which part woke something in you. In the next video, we'll go even deeper.